Hello, everybody. Let's try that again. Hello, everybody. Put you on gallery view so I can see some of you at least. Looks like we have a small group here this morning. This morning here, I know it's different times and different places where you are. So thank you for coming. And we'll get started on class 3. Okay, let's see who's here. Awilda, would you lead us in the prayers this morning, please, or today? Unmute yourself.
Sorry. Okay. Ready. Sashi Pugi Shukshi Metotram Sange Shindu Mikte Wargi Trokung Nangla Shingla Shupaksho Idam Guru Ratna Mandalakam Niryatayami. Here is the great earth, filled with the smell of flowers, covered with a blanket. This is something wrong with that one.
Filled with the smell of incense.
Of incense, covered the great mountains, the 4 continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure realm.
There we go. Next, please. Continue.
Sorry, I put it on mute. I go for refuge to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha until I achieve enlightenment. By the power of the goodness that I do in giving and the rest, may I reach the Buddhahood for the sake of every living being.
So, continuing with ACI Lojong, I hope you had some moments to practice it in the last few days. I know I have. How to develop a good heart, class 3. So moving right along. Class 3, we start a new Lojong and it's called Damnak. So the Damnak Lojong. Damnak means, I'll slow down, sorry, personal advices. So it's like a collection of sayings of personal instructions that a student has gotten when they're in an intimate setting with their teacher. You know, like when you're driving somewhere with your teacher and you get to ask them questions because they can't go anywhere. And so you have a perfect opportunity to ask them questions at that time, right? And they give you personal advice, personal instructions, not in a group of people. And this Damnak Lojong was given by someone named Gyalwa Yang Gunpa. Say Gyalwa Yang Gunpa. And as you can see, his dates are 1213 to 1258, so quite early, right? 900 years ago or something, or longer ago than that. So, and he is a founding father of Buddhist lineages called the Drukpa Kagyu. Now, most of the Drukpa Kagyus, they live in the area of the world now known as Bhutan. That's like where they are most concentrated. But this Gyalwa Yangumpa was from a place in Tibet. Gyalwa means the victorious one, like the Buddha. And this text is called The Advices of the Victorious One, Yangumpa. So Dangnak of Gyalwa Yangumpa. One of his teachers was the Sakya Pandita, who lived around 1200. And he is one of the greatest lamas of Tibet, of West China. And the Sakya Pandita's nephew, his name was Pakpa, he took Buddhism or brought Buddhism, both directions, I guess, to Mongolia. And he taught the Emperor Kublai Khan, and he met Marco Polo there. So he was pretty influential, both of them, in Buddhism opening up to the world. The Sakya Pandita is one of our tantric lineage lamas, one of our Diamond Way lamas. And in fact, we have in our Diamond Way lineage, we have Sakya lamas, we have Galupa lamas, we have Kagyu lamas, and we take teachings from all of them. And there's probably some Nyingma in there somewhere as well. So those are the 4 different lineages of Buddhism in Tibet. Sakyas, the Galupas, the Kagyus, and probably the Nyingmas. Our lineage is primarily the Galupa lineage. But in those days, because there weren't so many practitioners, it was very much of a big family. And then we have someone named Gu Sangpa. And he was also another great Lojong teacher who taught Gyalwa Yangumpa. So this is our lineage. We know the name of the book now. So if somebody asks you what you're studying, you can say Damnak. And if they ask you who it's by, you can say Gyalwa Yangumpa, right? Should always know what you're studying and who taught it. So it's very like all of them, I like the word pithy. You know, the pith is like the center, the very center of something, the essence. There's no wasted words. And yet it's beautifully poetic at the same time. And because of that, we need to have someone explain it to us. So he says, nothing that starts remains unchanged. Have no attachment. Cut the ties. There's no happiness in this vicious circle. Get tired of it. Find renunciation. The world is hollow and meaningless. Do not trust the lie. Your own mind is the Buddha. Go and meet your friend. So this is the first part of his Damnak. That's his Lojong. And people would study these for years and try to figure out what he meant. You know? And you can see how this way of teaching, by just putting these verses out into the world, could be difficult, right? And he says, yeah, they are difficult. You must have a Lama there to explain it to you. You can't go around thinking your mind is a Buddha. Why? Is your mind a Buddha's mind? Janet says no. Yeah, I would say no too. It's not true. I wouldn't, what I hear going on in my mind, I don't think are the words of an enlightened being yet, right? Yet's the operative word. I should open the chat too, if I can try and see it. Baby Buddha. So we're going to talk about what that baby Buddha mind is, right? So your mind is the Buddha. This refers to Buddha nature. And what is Buddha nature? Anybody know? Yes, the emptiness of our own mind, right? It's the emptiness of our mind. And many times it's referred to as wisdom. It's not that you have some crystalline nature inside of you where you just open your chest up and see it there, right? That, just needs some polishing or cleaning off. There are all these different ideas of what Buddha nature is. You are already a Buddha, and you just have to realize it. The Buddha is inside you, and you have to just uncover it, like the shell around a walnut, and many others. If you're interested in studying Buddha nature, you can study it in a text called the Uttara Tantra, which Geshe Michael taught us in 2004, I believe, for the beginning of Diamond Mountain University. And he taught it in Tucson for several days. And he hasn't taught it since. If you were a Buddha already, right, we wouldn't be experiencing the ups and downs of life the way we do. You wouldn't be experiencing them at all. You would be able to help everyone be happy and fulfilled and to become Buddhists themselves. Do you perceive your mind as an enlightened being's mind? Do you perceive your body as a body of light, an angel's body? If we had collected the necessary karma, we could be perceiving our mind as that of a beautiful, enlightened being. So the emptiness of your mind is the potential for you to become a Buddha, an enlightened being. It's no different than the pen. Right? The emptiness of this red and white cylinder is that if you had the karma to see it that way, you would be seeing it as a very nice thing to chew. I can't even hold it in my mouth. All right. If you had that karma, and that's what it is to be a dog. I think most of us here see it as a pen. And that's what it means to be a human, to be able to write with it. So it's to have those perceptions. And that is why it's so easy to be born as a dog. And that's why it's so dangerous to die. You're forced to experience your mind as this incredible mixture of happiness and sadness, goodness and evil, satisfaction and dissatisfaction, up and down, in and out, all over the place. And for me, the reason well, at least one of the major reasons that I was attracted to Buddhism is I was really tired of that ride, of that roller coaster, of going from happiness to sadness, from being satisfied to dissatisfied, going up and down and up and down and up and down. And I found answers here. I don't know about you, but I expect that's why you're still here as well. Answers to how to change that. And by putting them into practice, began to change my life. Right? If we had collected better karma, we wouldn't perceive the ups and downs, the dissatisfaction and the satisfaction going back and forth. We would be forced by that karma to see our own minds, our own bodies, as the mind of an enlightened being. And that is the emptiness of our mind. That is Buddha nature. That's the potential that you already have to become an enlightened being, right? So thank goodness for the emptiness of our minds. That's the only Buddha nature we have. And thank goodness we have it, right? We can all pat ourselves on the back and rejoice in that. So in Tibetan, Buddha nature is called Rangshin. And in Sanskrit, it's Sugatagarbha. And it's a very specific thing, Sugatagarbha or Rangshin, the nature of the Buddha, the emptiness of your mind. So when he says, your own mind is the Buddha, go and meet your friend. First, he is saying, if you understood how your own mind is empty, you would appreciate Buddha nature. What would you do? You would keep your vows. And within a short time, you would be forced to see this mind as an enlightened being's mind. Now, what does short time mean? There's two things we can think about it. There will be a moment where your mind goes into the direct perception of emptiness. We don't know when that moment's going to happen. That doesn't mean we're going to become a Buddha in that moment. And the second way is compared to how many lives we've already lived, it will be a short time to, after you have the direct perception of emptiness, after you have that experience, Traditionally, it's 7 more lifetimes. Doesn't sound like a short lifetime, but or a short amount of time, but if you think about how many times we've already been born and died, it's a short amount of time. The second way is when Gyalwa Yangumpa says that your own mind is the Buddha. What he actually means is the mind in the sense of one's own wisdom. It has the capacity to take one to enlightenment. The emptiness of our minds is our Buddha nature, our capacity to become enlightened, because the mind does not exist from its own side. We can one day be forced by our good seeds to see it as an omniscient mind of an enlightened being. So, yeah, there's lots of different ideas out there about what Buddha nature is. But now you know at least what our lineage says what Buddha nature is. And the Uttara Tantra debunks it, explains why all the other ideas aren't true. This is a painting by a dear friend of mine that I've always loved, and I'll explain it to you as we go on. This baggage burning up and falling into the ocean. Nothing but the Dharma means anything at all. Throw the rest out like trash. It all boils down to dying. Pack light and take off now. I'm sure that brings up lots of images in your mind. I know it does for me. So pack light and take off means let go of all of your baggage. He said, she said, I want, right? I need. Let go of all your baggage and get on with enlightenment. Get on with it, right? All that other stuff is just weighing you down. And then he says, throw out the rest like trash. Just stop what you're doing that is not important. It all boils down to dying. So you have to apply the test of death to every action you ever undertake. If someone said to you, you have 1 hour to do, would you be sitting in this class? Is this what you would be doing? Would you be complaining to somebody, right? Would you be scrolling through your phone, right? It's important to do the things you really want to do and need to do. The ones that are the most powerful to get you out of this world of suffering. So a person practicing Lojong must ask whether what they are doing every hour is worth doing. If not, don't do it. Right? So this is a barometer of whether you are spending your life well. We could basically say the whole world is living differently. They're chasing after fame and money and possessions. And, quite frankly, to spend your day not meditating, not studying, not doing your yoga, not watching your mind, sounds, much easier. But it will just get you more of the same that you've already had. And you wouldn't be here if your life were as sweet as you want it to be, right? You wouldn't be here. So spending your life purely in Dharma activity every minute is the smartest thing to do, because everyone has to die. People are going to think you're crazy. They'll criticize you for going into retreat, for wasting time. You can't listen to it. You have to prioritize for you. Now, spending your life purely in Dharma activity does not necessarily mean being in retreat all the time, does not necessarily mean studying all the time. What it does mean is keeping your vows and serving others. Right? And so you have to think about what's the most powerful way to serve others that I can do in my life. And so it may include those things. And it's not something you go out and broadcast, right? It's a secret practice. Do you want to die doing what you're doing right now? Our mental real estate is the most important thing we have. And that day, tomorrow, when you die, will come. It's like that day tomorrow when you become an enlightened being will come. There will be that tomorrow when you die. And then it will be today. Will you be ready? It is the most terrifying experience you will go through, because you are losing everything that you thought was me. Right? So prepare yourself. You're still here. You're still alive. You're still here today, right? So he's saying, let's read it again. Nothing but the Dharma means anything at all. Throw the rest out like trash. It all boils down to dying. Backlight and take off. So he says, these are the 6 keys. Put your death in your heart. This is the key for checking whether your practice is tuned too tight or loose. So this is that question you need to ask. Would I be doing this activity if I were going to die today? So that's the first key. The second key is think of the viper's nest of the problems of this life. This is the key for stopping attachment at the bottom of your heart. every good thing about our life will be taken away from us. Our friends, our family, our money, our possessions, home, job, body, clothes, face, and name. If they're all going to be taken from us, why should we work so hard for these things or be attached to them? There's nothing wrong with having them, right? But what's the point of working so hard to get them? Of killing ourselves, basically, to get them? Let every thought be of what other people need. This is the key for making everything you do the Dharma. Oops, sorry. So it doesn't matter what you're doing. You can work in New York, you can have a normal family, but in the back of your mind, you should always be thinking that everything you do is for the benefit of others. No matter if you're watching TV, playing music, doesn't matter. Taking care of your parents, and if you do that, if you're constantly thinking how what you're doing will benefit others, then that activity becomes Dharma. Sweet? You can change what you're doing in your life, not physically, but by what's going on in your mind. And it also helps you to prioritize what's important and what's not. So even watching Netflix can become a Dharma practice. But don't fool yourself. Check your mind, see where it's at. And if it's not serving somebody else, how can you change what's in it? So number 4, don't think of anything but your Lama. This is the key for turning your mind and theirs into one. So he's saying, spend your whole day thinking about your lamas and serving and, communing with them, hanging out with them. Then sooner or later, your mind and their mind will become as one, right? So what does that mean? It means when you have a question or you're trying to figure something out, your lama is in your heart. Your teacher is in your heart. That's why it's so important to create one. And there's not one lama size fits all, right? You have to find the teacher and the path that fits you. And once you find them, let your whole day be spent standing in their beauty and their glory and their love. You imagine that they're beside you. Talk to them. You'll hear answers. You don't have to be physically right next to them. They are always with you. That's their job. And you created them. See the world and the people in it as angels. This is the key for stopping the idea that life is an ordinary thing. So are they just normal people, everybody around you? Or could they be enlightened beings trying to get you enlightened? If you practice steadily and keep your vows better and better, everything in your life will start to change, to transform gradually. The objects, the things in your life, the people in your life, the sunset, movies, your job, ultimately, the entire world and all the people in it will change into a paradise. So he's saying, get ready. Start thinking of them that way now, because that's the way it's going to be, right? We call it reverse paranoia, right? Instead of being paranoid that everybody's out to hurt you, to cause you harm, get paranoid that they're trying to get you enlightened, right? So it's healthy to stop believing that everything is normal. Right? It's not. Or is it? Who's creating it as normal or not? And anyway, it's a whole lot more fun. Right? So the more you study and the more you keep your vows, it will be revealed to you that this world is not what you thought. There's something weird going on here. There's all these special things going on. And I was reminded of this yesterday. I was up in Sedona at the college building where I work, and I had to get this for one person and do this for another person. I was doing all these little things. And I packed up my car to leave, and I left, and I went to the pharmacy to get some medicine for somebody. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot to get King of the Dharma, the big book, King of the Dharma, to bring to mixed nuts class yesterday. So I went back and went upstairs and got the book. And when I came back down, somebody was at the door ringing the doorbell. And I could hear the doorbell upstairs, but it was like, what's that sound? I don't think I had ever heard it before. And this was somebody from another state looking to join the mixed nuts class, which of course is not at that building. And if I hadn't come back at that moment, they would have just been standing there. So it was a very magical moment for me, of how forgetting something caused me to be in the right place at the right time for somebody else. The magic of that. So it's very cool. Keep your eyes open. See if you can begin to see the magic and what the enlightened beings are doing for you. And then the last of the 6 keys is, whatever comes, make it crystal. This is the key for making this life turn to freedom all by itself. This life will become nirvana and paradise by itself if you can see all things as crystal. So don't misunderstand this verse. Nirvana is not automatic. And what does crystal mean? What is crystal referring to? Who knows? Yeah, Roxanne, that's right. Yes, Janet. Light, transparent body, free of mental afflictions, diamond, emptiness. It can only become nirvana for you if you make great effort and keep your vows and practice your lojong sweetly, right? If you understand how the objects and the people around you are empty, you have everything you need to turn this place into a Buddha paradise. I know we say it over and over and over again, but obviously we have to hear it over and over again, right? The world around us is empty. Does it become nirvana by itself? No. It hasn't done it yet, has it? It takes effort from our side. And Shakyamuni, he made great effort day after day. And then he got bodhicitta. He worked for 10 to the 60th power of eons to become an enlightened being. So don't even begin to think, and don't believe anyone who would say this world is going to turn into nirvana by itself, because it won't. And that's not what this verse means. The fact that everything is crystal, which means empty, right? It's the diamond, will make everything turn into nirvana almost automatically. Once you understand how to do good deeds, that is the real meaning of it. But if you wander around saying, oh, everything is crystal, I don't have to do anything because it's going to become nirvana anyway, you're going to get disappointed. And then the line, whatever comes, means that whatever appears to the mind. So he also said, and Janet, would you read this for us, please?
If you want to have every happiness, you must use the antidotes that keep you from liking things ignorantly. If you want to free yourself from all pain, you must use the antidotes to keep you from disliking things ignorantly. If you want to reach matchless enlightenment, you must use the antidotes that keep you from being ignorant. If you want to stand independent on your own, you must use the antidotes that keep you from feeling any pride. If you want to stop all obstacles, you must use the antidotes that keep you from feeling jealous.
Thank you. It's giving us some really good tips, right? This small lojong that he gave to his students. And these very short verses, each one of them, he describes one of the 5 mental poisons. if you want to have every happiness, right, you must stop liking things ignorantly and all the rest. So we usually talk about the 3 poisons, those negative attitudes. Those are really poison, these 5. It's not a metaphor. They really ruin your physical health and your intelligence and your compassion. In the Diamond Way, they explain it as each time you have a negative thought, it chokes your central channel. So those negative thoughts literally destroy your body and mind. And in these 5, the description of each negative thought is followed by the description of the result that will come eventually if you work hard on stopping these. So the first of the 5 poisons, duchak. Duchak means liking things ignorantly. Can you like things in a good and proper way? Is it wrong to like things? Is it wrong to like having a nice glass of water when your voice gets dry from talking? Is it wrong to like a Buddha paradise? Or to like helping others? Or to have a good job that doesn't hurt anybody? Or a nice fruit smoothie? You fill in all the words that you want, right? No, there's no problem in liking them. So what is the test if you're doing it ignorantly? Duchak means you would hurt someone to get the thing you want. It doesn't have to be physically. It can be mentally too. Why? Because it's morally disgusting? No. Because it messes you up. If you hurt someone else to get what you want, according to the laws of karma, that is the best way to never get that thing again. If you don't like money or fame or a good job, then hurt someone else to get that. And you will be sure that you will have future problems in getting them yourself. So it means basically liking things in a stupid way, not understanding where things come from. If you like ginger cookies, that comes from offering someone something they like, not necessarily a ginger cookie, right? So what is the best way to get something you like? Give it to someone else. Be it kind words or things or love or whatever. And if you can overcome this tendency, you get, oh, there we go. Hello. There we go. You get Dewa Tamche, happiness all of the time. You get all the happiness you want. Why? because you refuse to like things ignorantly and therefore cause yourself to lose them, right? You refuse to do that. So that's the first of the 5 poisons. The second one is Shedang. If we had liking things ignorantly, what's the second one? Liking things ignorantly is our left channel. What's our right channel? Anybody know? Dislike. Yes, thank you, Anna. Disliking things ignorantly. Now, do enlightened beings dislike things? Yeah. They don't want to suffer or have you suffer. So the test of whether your disliking is ignorant is whether you would do something to hurt someone in order to get rid of it, right? Would you say something mean to someone? Would you yell at them? Would you hang up on them? Would you ignore them? This is what we usually do. And if we were to stop acting this way, we would get Dukna Dangdrawa, no more pain at all. We would get suffering from freedom. That's what I mean. That's what it means. Dunyal is suffering, Drelwa, freedom. We would have freedom from suffering. Right? And then the third one is Timuk. Ignorance itself. So those are the 3 poisons that we usually talk about, right? In the middle of the wheel of life. Those 3 poisons. It's not understanding how your world works. Not seeing that all of our problems were created by being bad to people in the past or to any being. And if we get this, if we understand it, if we put it into practice and stop reacting to the world as if it's coming from its own side, you're going to get Jangju Topa. You're going to achieve enlightenment. If you can stop thinking of things as being other people's fault, stop thinking of things as coming from the other side, and understand and reflect that all of these sufferings were made by you. And if you can understand that and put it into practice in your life, you will reach enlightenment. So Jangju Topa means enlightenment. Jangju Topa is to achieve. And the Buddha says, do you think someone made the hell realms from fire and steel? No. Of course, it's our own perceptions that creates suffering. That's a heavy thing. We are creating our own suffering. Nobody else is. And this is something, again, that you have to be very, very, very careful of sharing with somebody else, that they are creating their own suffering. Because someone may turn it on themselves, right? Rather than using it as a tool to change their life, it may hurt them psychologically, mentally. They may already be suffering from thinking that they're terrible, bad people. And now you tell them that they caused all their pain in their life. So you have to be very careful. And you have to start with, like what Master Shanti Deva says, start with carrots and potatoes. Start with explaining the pen, right? But don't hit them over the head with this emptiness thing and karma thing about you're causing all the suffering in your world. Bring them slowly if you can. My mother, she suffered from a mental illness where it's called bipolar disease. And she had lived through many traumatic things in her childhood. She was a survivor of incest, and she'd had a hard life, my mom. And I never said this to her. You know, Mom, you're creating all your own suffering. You caused all that. Would that help anybody? I worked on my own seeds to stop causing suffering in others' lives and in my own. So we have to be very careful with this, with all of these lojones. People's minds have to be very well prepared. So number 5 of the 5 poisons, the 5th one is Nagyel. Say Nagyel. Nagyel. Me, king. Pride. Right? Wrong pride where you see others as lower than you. Good pride is be okay. You know, being happy about how you practice Lojong today, that's very positive. Oh, I have the seeds to see that I did that today. That is cool. May those seeds grow, right? It's not bad to be proud when you just gave up the profit and took the loss yourself. You can say, good job, Irina. Good job, Ludmilla. You know, whatever your name is, give yourself a pat on the back. And out of thousands of lifetimes, you finally have done something for somebody else. That's good pride. Bad pride is, I don't have to listen to them. I'm as smart as them, or something like that. I'm right. I know I'm right. My way is right. This is how you do it. That's not the right way to do it. This is the easiest way to do it. Do it my way, right? None of us ever do that. I do it. Maybe you don't. Right? It's one of those things I have been working on really hard in this lifetime, because I can be very bossy as the oldest daughter in the family, right? So if you could relate to other people, if we could stop thinking that way, if you could go around wherever you live thinking everybody has something to teach me. Let me listen. Maybe I'll learn something. Then the karmic result of that is Rangotumba, which means totally independent. What does that mean? It means you have everything you need. Money, knowledge, compassion, intelligence, dharma. You are self-sufficient in your own wisdom, in your own meditation, in your own morality. And you can stand on your own independently as a pillar of strength. This is the result of eliminating pride. But if you are jealous or have pride, you cannot reach this stage. And number 5, say tradok. Tradok. Tradok is jealousy. What is jealousy? It's the state of mind that can't stand to see others get what they want. If you are an aspiring bodhisattva, someone who wants to help all beings in every universe, what kind of attitude is that to have? Your career is supposed to be the international supplier of happiness to all beings. And instead, you act like an international Scrooge. Do you guys know what a Scrooge is? Scrooge is a character, right? Who just keeps everything to themselves, who wants to make sure that nobody gets what they want, right? That's the state of mind of jealousy. So jealousy is being unhappy when other people get what they were hoping for. And if you think this way, you will always encounter obstacles to getting the things you want for yourself. Karmically, it will keep happening to you over and over. As you get closer to the things you want, people you want to be with, places you want to live, work that you want, money that you want, there will always be some kind of obstacle. And the karma is that you were jealous of other people. So if you find it difficult to get the things you need or want in your life, go back to the karmic correlations. And you're getting some of them here too, right? Use them to go after your negative thoughts and create the world that you want. And if you do that, you get Tamshe Selwa. All of your obstacles are removed. If you eliminate jealousy and help others get what they want, what's the outcome going to be? You're going to get what you want too. And then you've got 2 people at least happy. not one miserable person and one happy person, right? It's a win-win situation. It's a win-win situation. Do you see a theme so far? We're on class 3 of all these lojongs. Cook it, think about it. And we're getting very, very close to the end of class, a shorter one today. Let me see. I'm just looking for someone. Evgeny. Evgeny, would you read this short 2 little lines for us? Please. I know you're recording, but don't think that should be an obstacle. No? Okay. How about Vivi?
The reality of things is beyond the mind, so reside in a state where you bow to nothing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So probably, when he said this, he was in some divine state when he said these things to his students. Like us, they have been studying logic and emptiness and karma for many years, right? The reality of things is beyond the mind. So reside in a state where you hold to nothing. Pretty sexy sounding. Right? Current reality. Can perceive at the same time thing as existing independent of our own projections, forced upon us by our past deeds. Again, new students should not be taught this kind of thing. It is taught to students who have studied Buddhist logic and emptiness teachings deeply, who have heard the pen countless times. I haven't kept track of how many times I've heard the pen, right? Who for many years have been studying. That's why this is course 14 and are qualified to get this lojong. It means that until the day that you see emptiness directly, you haven't seen ultimate reality directly. It does mean that you're not experiencing reality in your everyday world, right? That reality, the ultimate one, or that things in this world don't function to cause pain. That is what we experience. That's not what this means. It means don't think that things are coming from their own side. Don't hold to your own body, your mind, as being a crummy, old, unenlightened being. Because it's that way from its own side. It's not. Your body and mind are blank. They are empty. And you can make them anything you want if you keep your vows. Meditate regularly and learn proper Buddhism. If you do these things and don't grasp to things as existing from their own side, you can reach a Buddha paradise. And it doesn't mean go space out in a corner somewhere. So in this reading, in reading 3, you can see some of the antidotes to your problems. And they're very to the point, and you have to think about them. Right? So we've gone over some of the verses in the reading. I encourage you to do the readings because there's so much more there than we cover in class. Right? And watch your mind. When you correct someone, what is your motivation? What are you thinking about? Would you say that to your Lama? Would you tell your Lama how to do something? Maybe. Don't know. That's for your mind. So the reality of things is beyond the mind. Reside in a state where you hold to nothing. That nothing is coming from its own side. And that state is beyond, the ultimate state, right, is beyond our mind at this time. That direct perception of emptiness. And with that, we've finished class early and do an analytical meditation until our next class in a couple of days upon the meaning of the 4 kings in the advices of young Gumpa. We didn't go over the 4 kings, so you're going to have to find it in your reading. You'll have to read it, and do a meditation on it. What is an analytical meditation? Go over it and think about it. Dissect it. Be like a scientist. Okay? Are there any questions? Since we have a few moments here before we close. No questions? All righty then. Adi, would you lead us in prayers? Oh, let's go back to that one. There we go. Can you lead us in prayers? You're silent. Okay. Let me find somebody else then. Rinshin?
Thank you.
Thank you.
We need to Sashi Puki Jukshin Metok Tram Rira Rimshin Gyen Pandi Sangi Shingdu Mikte Drona Kshen Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniyatayami. Here is a great earth, filled with the smell of incense, covered with a blanket of flowers, the great mountain, the 4 continents, wearing a jewel of the sun and moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryatayami.
Please continue.
Okay. Gevadi Kyevo Kun Sonam Yeshe Sonam Yeshe Tsogdzog Shin Sonam Yeshe Lijun Kwei Dampa Kuni Dropar Sho. By the goodness of what I have just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the 2 ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make.
Thank you, Rinchen. Thank you, everybody who read today. Thank you for coming to class. Let me pull everybody's picture up here so I can see you all. Thank you. And I will see you in a couple of days. And have fun practicing your dojo, right? Have fun. I can't read the Russian alphabet, but hi Hamthan and Nelly, Kimchi, Olga, Nungdo, Ludmila, Oksana, Vera, Hong, Nongvu. Okay, and Svetlana too. Thank you. And thank you to all the translators. And thank you to all of the ACI tech. We couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much. And see you in a couple of days. Bye-bye.
Thank you, teacher.